It's like standing in the middle of a bustling square, voices swirling around you like autumn leaves, but no one pauses to meet your gaze. How the world moves on, indifferent, while you fade into the background like a forgotten sketch on a canvas. If you've ever spoken words that dissolved into silence, or reached out only to grasp empty air, you know the ache of being overlooked. It's not just absence, it's a quiet erasure, a loneliness that whispers, "You don't matter here." The overlooked live in the shadows of attention, craving a glance, a nod, a simple acknowledgement that says, "I see you." But instead, the world glances past, leaving you to wonder if you're truly there at all. It's not dramatic rejection, not always. It's subtler, more insidious. The invitation that never comes, the conversation that skips over you, the achievements that echo unheard. Psychologists describe it as social invisibility, a state where the mind perceives itself as peripheral, unworthy of notice. Your thoughts spiral. Am I too quiet, too ordinary, or simply not enough? That's the inner dialogue of the overlooked, a constant, invisible negotiation with invisibility itself. Research reveals the brain's role in this. The default mode network, responsible for self-affliction, becomes overactive, turning every slight into proof of your irrelevance. A missed hello feels like confirmation, triggering the amygdala's alarm, as if being unseen is a threat to survival. Because to our ancient wiring, belonging meant safety, exclusion meant peril. It's not your imagination. It's biology echoing the pain of being left behind. But here's what most don't grasp. The loneliness of the overlooked isn't always visible. It doesn't scream or shatter. It simmers quietly. It looks like smiling through group photos where you're cropped out, rehearsing contributions that go unsaid, or scrolling through lives that seem fuller than yours. It's the exhaustion of performing visibility every day, only to blend into the wallpaper. And yet, beneath this veil, there's a profound sensitivity. The overlooked often see what others miss, the subtle hierarchies in a room, the unspoken needs of the ignored, the quiet strengths hidden in plain sight. That's not weakness, it's an awareness sharpened by absence, a radar tuned to the frequencies of neglect. The roots of this loneliness are woven deep. Sometimes it's genetic, a temperament that favors introspection over boldness, making you naturally recede. Studies show it can run in families, tied to traits like high empathy or low assertiveness. Sometimes it's learned, growing up in environments where your voice was drowned out by louder siblings, critical parents, or cultures that prized conformity wires the brain to associate self-expression with dismissal. For some, it's the scar of repeated oversights. The promotion passed over, the friendship faded, the love unreturned. For others, it's cumulative, a lifetime of being the supporting character in everyone else's story, until you start believing that's your role. And when those moments pile up, something shifts. Psychologists call it internalized invisibility. Your focus turns inward, monitoring how little space you occupy. You stop reaching out, fearing confirmation of your irrelevance. Every unanswered message feels like evidence, every empty seat beside you a verdict. It's not self-pity, it's survival, a way to protect against the sting of being forgotten. The paradox is heartbreaking. You long for connection, but the fear of being overlooked again keeps you hidden, perpetuating the cycle. The more you withdraw, the more invisible you become. Socially, this loneliness thrives in a world obsessed with highlight social media feeds where only the bold shine. Workplaces that reward the vocal, gatherings that favor the charismatic. You're not unseen because you're unworthy. You're unseen because the spotlight chases noise, but that doesn't soften the isolation. Your body responds. Cortisol surges, sleep evades, a quiet fatigue sets in. It's the nervous system's way of saying, "This hurts." Logic knows you're not alone in feeling alone. Millions grapple with this, but when the heart feels overlooked, reason fades. So what do you do when your existence feels like a whisper in a storm? When efforts to be seen feel futile and silence becomes your safest companion? Here's a truth that surprises. Being overlooked isn't always a curse. Sometimes it's an overdeveloped form of humility, a quiet wisdom born from observing rather than dominating. You've learned to listen deeply, to value substance over spectacle. That empathy, honed in the margins, makes you a beacon for others who feel unseen. It's not frailty, it's a strength veiled in quietude. Still, it's hard to carry this weight. To rehearse visibility in your mind, only to retreat when the moment arrives. To feel like a ghost in your own life, haunting the edges of belonging. The irony, the harder you try to force notice, the more elusive it becomes. Psychologists note the paradox of effort. Striving for attention often amplifies self-consciousness, turning outreach into performance. Suppression breeds more isolation, like a loop where fear of oversight fuels self-erasure. There's an old principle in psychology called the visibility paradox. The more you hide to avoid being overlooked, the more you ensure it. That's why platitudes like "just put yourself out there" fall flat. They ignore the nervous system's grip. Healing isn't about forcing boldness. It's about understanding. Recognizing the sensations, the tight chest, the averted eyes, and whispering, "This is my protection, not my prison." Therapies like cognitive behavioral approaches or group mindfulness retrain this gradual exposure to being seen. Reframing oversight as neutral, not personal. It's not erasing loneliness. It's learning it doesn't define you. What's powerful about the overlooked is how it echoes humanity's core need to be witnessed. Every ignored glance, every skipped turn, traces back to that desire for affirmation. Healing this loneliness isn't just mental, it's a quiet revolution of self-seeing. Risking visibility, imperfectly, without guarantee. You learn that true belonging starts within, not in others' eyes. Somewhere along the way, the mirror of self-perception clears. You stop shrinking to fit unseen spaces and start claiming your light. And here's what's remarkable. Every overlooked soul has a turning point. A quiet defiance, where hiding's cost outweighs judgment's fear. Not through grand gestures, but small rebellions. A shared thought in a meeting, an outstretched hand in conversation, a moment of unapologetic presence. Those acts don't scream heroism, but they are proof you're choosing to exist fully. Over time, they rewire your world. Connections form, not from force, but authenticity. But progress whispers, not roars. There will be days of bold steps and days of retreat, moments of warmth and echoes of isolation. That's okay. Healing isn't vanishing loneliness. It's gaining choice amid it. Your overlooked heart, once a burden, becomes your guide, teaching kindness to the unseen, including yourself. In this quiet revolution, psychology shifts from fixing flaws to honoring struggles. Your loneliness isn't brokenness. It's a byproduct of a soul that values depth over dazzle. You weren't meant to fade. You were meant to illuminate, even softly. The process begins with gentle acts, Eye contact held, stories shared, boundaries drawn. Soon, the world notices, not because you demand it, but because your presence shines undeniable. When emptiness fades, a strange beauty emerges. Who are you without the veil? Silence becomes serene, not suffocating. You realize oversight never diminished you, it only hid your glow. People assume the overlooked resent visibility, but often you cherish it deeply, imagining impacts before they unfold. That's the tragedy and grace. A heart that seeks belonging so fiercely, it forgets it's already worthy. The final understanding. Acceptance blooms from within. The compassion you offer, the forgotten patience, forgiveness must grace yourself. You are not just overlooked moments. You are the resilience weaving them. One day, loneliness will echo faintly, like a distant memory. You'll step into spaces unbraced, speak with ease, and find silence peaceful. You'll know your worth was never to prove, only to embrace. So, if you're listening now, breathe. You've navigated unseen battles, yet here you stand, hoping, trying, dreaming of being seen. That's remarkable. Courage isn't always spotlight stealing. Sometimes it's the quiet insistence, I exist. And that insistence, it's enough to rewrite your story. If this resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more content that explores the quieter parts of our minds. Thank you for watching, and thank you for being here.